always have this issue with, how do I, it always hates me. Always takes, there. Okay. Hi. Hi everyone. Oops,
Wait.
and I turned it around. How do I, oh no. How do I, oh no. There.
What?
Oh no. Wait, everything's not working. We did a whole pre-live and then, oh my gosh, okay.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
How do I turn this around? There. There. I'm so sorry. Hold on. There. Okay. Oh my goodness.
Welcome, comment with your questions so we can answer them.
So sorry. We actually prepared for this. And still. Oh my goodness. See, I ended up sweating again because I'm harassed. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome. We'll give it a few minutes for people to kind of get on, to join us and stuff. All of a sudden, it's amazing, huh? I stress a little bit and then I just start to sweat. Babe, can you get tissue, please? Do you mind?
You wanna what?
Tissue. Why? Oh. So again, hello everybody. We did actually come on earlier to test everything, and everything was fine. And then, of course, the best laid plans. We do our best. Please let me know if you can hear us. Dor, I'm so happy you like the BF Homes Parañaque branch. I'm so psyched you went. Oh, I love that location. It's brand new, and they're being very, very careful, as are all our stores, about social distancing and making sure everyone is safe. But I'm so thrilled you went. Thank you.
I unfortunately have to go. So
Yes, my love. But just could you please triple check the audio and stuff and make sure. So yeah, let us know if you can't hear us. I'll be starting right now, actually. As usual, I'll be going through very, very quickly a little bit about VMV and skin aging and sort of our approach to that and the products we recommend for that. And then my mom, Dr. Veruca Bulgaris, who is the founder, huge dermatopathologist, wonderful woman. I like her. She's going to come on and join us in a bit and get deep into sort of the scientific aspect of it. So to start off, I am Laura. I'm the CEO of VMV Hypoallergenics. And welcome. Here in Manila, it's a bright, sunny day. I hope you can hear us well. Let us know if you can't. We'll do what we can to fix that. My mother is the founding dermatopathologist of VMV, and she will be out here to talk about the scientific aspect of skin aging. And I will walk you through first a little bit about, I guess, what we do for skin aging at VMV, right? Which is not the same as trying to fight aging. I'm 48 now. I turn 49 at the end of the year, and frankly, I'm really liking it. I mean, my body is changing, but our body changes no matter what. This is about how our skin ages, sort of some of the things to look out for with regards to skin health in particular. And we've also had a few people ask about VMV products and regimens and whatnot. So I'll talk about that for a little bit. The first thing we want to underscore, as I mentioned, is that this is about healthy skin aging. We're not trying to pretend that we can bring our skin back to, I don't know, like when we were 12 or 15 or whatever ideal age it is that we're trying to think of. And the basic things that you're going to hear really are things that if you see any of our other Skin Sites episodes on VMV's Igtv, it comes up over and over again. Number one is inflammation. So many skin and health concerns are really linked to inflammation or caused by inflammation. So above and beyond the products that you put on your skin, which should prioritize anti-inflammatory, which I'll talk to you about in a bit, you really need to focus on an anti-inflammatory lifestyle, right? Sleep, enough hours, 7, 8 hours, eat nutritious anti-inflammatory food, no junk food, no sodas and whatnot, all that stuff that we already know. The second main thing that, again, keeps coming up in all our episodes, and I'm sure my mom will underscore again later, and is very related again to skin aging, is the barrier layer of the skin is extremely delicate, and in conditions like psoriasis and eczema, gets compromised rather badly. As we age, with all the stresses our skins are exposed to, the barrier layer again becomes an issue. So our products again focus on protecting the barrier layer. And the last is stress, which is a little bit redundant, because I already mentioned inflammation, and stress is inflammatory, but it is so important. And stress includes mental stress, but it also includes skin stressors like allergens and irritants, and the stress of bad food and poor sleep and whatnot. So what we normally do, and these are all my products at home, because I have refused to ask for extra products to show off because, stocks are low because COVID. So these are all my things, right? I use the Re-Everything cream. It's the advanced cream already that I'm using. But the thing about Re-Everything is we call it like a skin do-over. And what it contains is our organic published virgin coconut oil, because the fatty acids are native to skin. So as far as barrier protection, as far as moisturization, my mom really, really likes that. Also, it's anti-inflammatory. So it kind of hits multiple things at once. And then it also has kynotin, which is a phenomenal growth hormone. You can look it up. Great research on it. And I think it's actually one of the highest percentages in the market of kynotin. And it also has unbuffered glycolic acid. Now, those of you who are kind of big, I don't know if the Facebook people can see it, but those of you who are already big, like skintellectuals and know all about this, know that glycolic acid is a gold standard for alpha hydroxy acid, right? For microscopic cell renewal, exfoliation. What some people don't know is that you can get a raw material of glycolic acid that is buffered or diluted, which is why sometimes you see mega concentrations of glycolic acid. Unbuffered is better. It's just more effective, but it is more irritating. So it's actually harder to work with in formulations. And here's the kicker. For any truly effective, sort of clinically effective active, the risk is irritation, which is not the same as an allergy. We have a nice post on InSkin, vmvinskin.com, about the difference between allergic and irritant reaction. And we manage the risk of irritation, in 3 ways. The first is we always provide a pH-adjusted cleanser. So our skin is actually naturally a little bit more acidic, right? If you use an active treatment, it's also rather acidic, which is fine. The skin adjusts. The thing is, if you then use a cleanser that is way high, with a pH that's way high, that's very basic, your skin can get even more irritated by having to go back and forth between the two extremes. So we provide a pH lowered cleanser that would be Re-Everything or Illuminance or ID or 1635. Any of those cleansers actually work for our active treatments really well. Super skincare to a lesser degree because mandelic acid is less irritating, but we'll talk about that later. The second thing, and don't use soap for the face. Because of the way hard soaps are made, they're inherently really, really basic. So they tend to denature the skin in general. And certainly when you're combining a very high pH soap with a low pH active treatment, it's very drying, very denaturing very quickly. The second major thing we do is we make sure there are minimal to no allergens or irritants in the formulation. For those of you who, like me, use Illuminants, in addition to Re-Everything, right, because this tackles hyperpigmentation more, you'll notice that the VH is actually lower on Illuminants. And the insider's secret to that is because the active ingredient contains trace, like minuscule traces of an allergen. But we make sure to include in the VH rating so that you can check in the ingredients what the potential allergens are. And if they're yours, don't use it. Use the Re-Everything or use the mandelic acid in Super Skin. And then you'd be surprised how many active treatments for aging have a lot of allergens, right? So fragrance, dyes, preservatives, that sort of thing. And that can just add to the skin stress and actually can hasten skin aging, which we don't want. So we try to lessen or eliminate allergens completely. And the third thing we do, I mentioned earlier, is we make sure that the products contain anti-inflammatories, like virgin coconut oil, like monolaurin, like antioxidants. So we're able to have clinically effective levels of unbuffered active ingredients while also lessening the risk of irritations. And if any of you have bought any of our active treatments, you'll know we're really, really specific about how to use them. You don't want to use them every day, twice a day, right away. You really want to start with once a week and then slowly build up to twice a week and then 3 times a week, etc. You shouldn't get to once or twice a week applications until about the second month of therapy. And then, of course, sunscreen indoors and out because sunscreen ages you, because active treatments can make you more photosensitive. So you really need to wear sunscreens indoors and out and avoid the sun and wear hats and whatnot. Quick segue here. Don't forget, your lips are skin. They can also age. And we have this July. It's National Lipstick Month. All July. So if you go online, if you buy like 2 of our lip glosses, these are cool colors, I think, for the summer, no? They're like a coral and a bronze. And if you get like 2, again, this is for my home stash, so please forgive the abuse that these poor things have gone through. This is my Ruby and my Sweater Girl. If you get 2, you get 40% off all month, which is cool. And like all of our products, virgin coconut oil, antioxidants, monolaurin, and minimized allergens. We even have dye-free shades if you need that. What else? In the USA, you can customize a self-care kit from a selection of travel-sized products that we have. If you get 2 minis, you get a gift pouch as well. And if you get 4, you get like a cute little travel case. And for the Philippines, we have a mini-sized version of our Stay Safe kit, which we put together for the pandemic, actually, of stuff that we have for hand sanitizing, protection, etc. Other musts for your skin to be acting and looking peppier over time. I mentioned sunscreen, sunscreen, sunscreen. I use Armada post-procedure because I have melasma from my second child in particular, and because I'm a brown woman, pale, but I am brown, so melasma is really an issue. On that note, as it's such a top tip of my mom's talking about sunscreen, sunscreen indoors and out, I will call her in as our resource expert. Hi, Mom.
Hello. Hello there.
Here she is, Dr. Bralia Rowell, my mommy. And hello. Mwah. How cute, man, you're so colorful.
I thought I'd be in the colors of July 4.
Oh, dear. Okay. Anyway, yeah, that's a bit of a loaded thing now. But she is a dermatologist, dermatopathologist, widely published all over the world since the 70s, speaks everywhere, has been published and speaking about specifically hyperpigmentation, contact dermatitis, psoriasis, photo aging, even nutrition and lifestyle. A lot of the published clinical studies you'll see on skin and virgin coconut oil monolaurin are actually hers. So, yeah, welcome. Say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody. This is
Okay.
beautiful. This is nice and big. Where do I look, by the way? This or that?
Yes.
Okay.
So wherever you can look. Jess Arnaudin is on! Hi, Jess. She's awesome. Check her out, Jess Arnaudin. Check her out about natural lifestyle, being a parent, just being an awesome woman all around. But okay, why don't you start us off with
What?
what is like skin aging? What are some of the things we expect to see as our skin just ages over time?
Okay. We're more familiar with them by looking at the mirror every day, because we're all growing older, unfortunately, every day. Or fortunately, we should really welcome it.
I love it. Are you
Yeah.
kidding? I like being my age.
You see the wrinkles, the fine wrinkles first. You see the skin becoming a bit drier instead of oily like we were when you were younger. you begin to see little spots that appear here and there that actually become bigger and become melasma, or discolorations, hyperpigmentation. So your skin no longer has that glow as well, you know, of when you were younger. So those are the obvious things. And also in what causes them, because it's always nice to know what causes, and then that way we can help prevent aging from going too fast in our skin. The causes are fortunately now also,
I was gonna say,
some
what
are the more
tends to-
obvious.
Yeah, what
right?
tends to age our skin
Right.
prematurely.
The more obvious is, of course, that we know about the sun, right? We know about photoaging from the sun. We know about the chemicals that we're supposed to avoid, the foods we're supposed to also avoid. But the beauty about this now, in the subject of aging, is that down at the molecular level, down at the genetic level, scientists are actually finding out what goes on there and what, therefore, we should know about it so that we can help ameliorate, help prevent aging.
At the
Yeah, and the
cellular level, the
interesting
molecular
thing
level.
about it is that there are now things that cause aging that you and I haven't even really thought about much of before. Maybe it's in our mind, it's fleeting, but it's there. So we'll talk about that today.
Okay. So there's a lot of miracle creams and treatments that promise, you know, instant, decades younger and whatever, and, you know, injectables and whatever. What are some of the key things to look for that really, really work?
Number one are sunscreens. Now, let me correct that. I kind of like to call them
Sun and light.
EMR screens because it's really for sun protection and visible light indoors, not just sun. And we'll get to that topic. The second, believe it or not, is barrier protection. More and more, there's so much literature to show that the barrier of our skin is so compromised, the poor thing. And it's because of that we should protect it
Right.
and treat it.
So barrier protection I had mentioned earlier to everyone listening, it comes up a lot. It really is. There's more and more research showing that the skin's barrier getting compromised causes so many issues in conditions like eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, steroid treatments. Certainly as we age, taking care of the skin's barrier, it just becomes more and more important. So anything that you can do to prevent cracks in the barrier, to prevent stresses in the barrier. When the barrier becomes compromised, it also develops cracks and can be susceptible to microbial colonization, right? So now you have a second problem to deal with.
Yeah.
I have a question here from Jess Arnaudin. Remember her?
Yes.
Yes, we
Hi,
love Jess. She's asking if you have any thoughts on retinol, because she gets so many questions about retinol from clients. Jess is also an esthetician, makeup artist, author. Jess Arnaudin. Check her out.
Retinol is the gold standard for taking care of aging skin for the simple reason that it doesn't just act on the top of the skin of removing plugs from comedones, for instance, from whiteheads and blackheads on the surface. It doesn't just stimulate the skin to regenerate by little bits of peeling of that top layer of the skin so that the basal cells begin to grow and, and so therefore you're left with beautiful new epidermal cells. It goes even deeper. It goes down into the corium and it has receptors, the skin there has receptors that the retinol will attach to so that it will normalize collagen, normalize elastin formation and all. So it's still the gold standard, but it must be used properly because not used well, you get irritation, redness, itching, peeling of the skin that have patients come back to me and say, and then I say, remember I wrote it down, there's a piece of paper which says, you must start it slowly. If you really have sensitive skin, use it once every 2 weeks, then every week,
Right.
then every other day,
Right.
eventually to every night.
Right.
Taking months to do that
Right.
rather than just going gung-ho and doing it.
This is the same. I was mentioning earlier that this is true of most active ingredients that are really effective. So unbuffered glycolic acid,
Right.
kojic acid.
Azelaic acid.
The one that might be an exception to that is mandelic acid because it's a wonderful active ingredient
Right.
that its molecules are so big it penetrates less and is therefore less irritating. But it's a wonderful active ingredient.
Since we're talking about I'm sorry. I keep interrupting my daughter. So
Okay.
go ahead, I will listen.
She's why you're all here. I mean, let's be honest. It's just otherwise it's just me. Fire away.
Okay, the mandelic acid is actually more acidic than the glycolic acid. So you would think it would irritate more. But the molecule size of mandelic acid is more than double that of glycolic acid, which is more or less the current simple peelings that we use for the skin. And this is the reason why when you put mandelic acid on the skin, at, of course, concentrations that are proper, it actually really helps in performing its job as an acidic chemical, removing that, but doesn't go in, so it doesn't irritate the skin as much. It's wonderful.
I'm gonna cut in for the most babaw, for the non-Tagalog speakers there, the most shallow reason. I have two people, Tor and Jess, going, the earrings, love it. Earring goals. So I thought that was important to get in there. So here's the interesting thing about mandelic acid. Okay, so first let's back up a little bit. Retinol, fantastic, right? A lot of these things, retinol is not an alpha hydroxy acid, but it is also a micro keratolytic, a micro exfoliant, right?
Yes.
So it helps the skin cycle faster, so you see newer skin cells, and the skin looks more vibrant, more radiant, firmer, right? That's really what you're looking for. Retinol, retinoic acid, still great options for that, but definitely have to be used properly. Glycolic acid, unbuffered, kojic acid for the pigmentations in particular, also very, very good. For all of these things, there is a risk of irritation. So again, look for what else are you using? Like your cleanser should have a lower pH. Don't use a bar soap. Definitely use sunscreen every single day, indoors and out. So sun and light screen, indoors and out, whether or not you've applied the treatment that given day. And look for formulations that don't have allergens in the rest of it. Because some products with these wonderful active ingredients, you take a whiff and they're highly perfumed, right? Or they're colored, or they have preservatives or other things that are known to be irritating. So you're already increasing now the risk of irritation. Allergens can be skin stressors, which doesn't help the whole, non-premature aging goal that you have. And yeah, it could actually backfire, right? So that's what you're looking for.
Can I interject?
Yes.
In the time of COVID, what was that beautiful literary piece? Love in the time of COVID. Well, this one is Live in the time of
Corona.
Love in the time.
No, Love in the time of Love in the time of Corona is what they're saying. It's Love in the time of Cholera is the original book by Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
So, paraphrasing that. So, skin in the time of COVID. I am getting to see so many contact dermatitis and photocontact dermatitis now because of the widespread use, not just of the hand gels that many of them contain, isopropyl alcohol will just dry the skin, but many of them are using things like chlorine or chlorinated hydrocarbons. And they are in the things that smell, so you can smell them in the air. They're in the bleaching compounds or in the cleansing compounds. So from the recent one I had was a baby, barely 4 months old, already with the dermatitis, which I really strongly believe is because of the touching of the baby with hands.
Right, and again, babies are too young to care about skin aging.
Right.
But the point is, a lot of these stressors or abusers on the skin can age the skin faster.
Right. To more active people who go out and therefore are wearing masks all the time outside, and they get these irritations. I had a patient who said, why is it I have a very weird rash right here? It's on the upper lip, but there, so as we look at it, I could see the shape of her face was such that it had a little bit of an uplifting. So I had her put on her mask, and then there we identified it. It was, she laughed. She said, "You're right. That's me." that the chemicals, because they place chemicals in those masks, which are irritants as well as allergens, and the time that you're putting it on.
I feel like I need to clarify something there. When she says chemicals, it's not what some people default to, which is, I don't use chemicals, I just use natural ingredients. Everything in nature has a chemical signature. Water is hydrogen and oxygen. Everything in nature has a chemical signature.
Yes.
Bee pollen, flowers, fragrance, no matter how organic, no matter how natural, can be allergens. So if you're allergic to beeswax, propolis, it doesn't matter if you get it from an organic bee that you raise yourself, don't use it. She's talking, if I'm not mistaken, specifically about chemicals that are used in these harsh disinfectants and in antibacterials and antivirals that are in masks and in cleaning agents that we're exposed to necessarily so much now, no? Pinoy Wonderboy had a question about going out a lot pre-COVID. Will fine lines be avoided just by using moisturizers? Because my skin is pretty much oily already.
The answer to that is perfect, because I was just thinking about how I was going to introduce this. I was telling you about the fact that aging, we're very familiar about many of the things we talked about, you know, a little bit more deep in depth with us perhaps to now. But there are also things that are very innocuous. We are not too aware about their presence. And these are the environmental pollutants. Think about that. Usually we classify the pollutants into 4 kinds. There are ones called particulates. They are the little particles that come out of combustion and pressure and things, including from dust, from the traffic, therefore. So we have the soot, we have the larger particulates, going on to even tinier particulates that are coming, tiny, tiny little, less, anywhere from 0.1 to 10 microns, that they can actually get inhaled and go into our bloodstream and affect us. So
Which
those are the
affects
particulates
aging in general, of everything.
This is for aging. Now that we are living in a very industrialized place, as well as products from industrialization. And there's actually a paper that was done to compare Beijing and Wuhan with Hong Kong and Bangkok. Study in Asia. Fantastic about how much there is a comparison between us about these kinds of pollutants, whether they are the particulates, tiny little specks, or they are the gaseous, that would be the nitrous oxide, nitrogen oxide, or sulfur dioxide, and things like that. Metals like lead from the lead gasoline.
Okay. I think we're going way detailed.
Are we going to find?
I am
but
gonna
that's
bring
very
it back.
important. That's very important.
There's a lot of
So
stuff.
we
we're
need the
exposed
buyer
to.
and the screen.
Okay.
Okay.
If I can try to summarize, you correct me if I'm wrong,
Yes.
because the question was specific to my skin is oily already, so can I just use moisturizers and that's okay already for anti-aging?
Yeah.
And this, you're right. So I would actually add something to that. When she started work on virgin coconut oil, part of the reason was because in the Philippines, as in many countries where coconut oil is such a staple for hundreds of years, all our ancestors used coconut oil. And we actually have really good skin, relatively low issues of skin cancer and whatnot. She was really curious if there was a reason behind that, right? I would like to add, I think back in the day, you probably needed less. But times have changed, and we are exposed to so much more in the air, in the water, in disinfectants, in food, in everything, our laundry detergent, everything. So while a simple moisturizer alone, like a virgin coconut oil before, might have arguably been enough, at this point, you do need to also think about barrier protection, right? So purely mineral sunscreens, like I won't get into now, purely mineral sunscreens are nice because they provide a physical barrier as well. So if I were to do just moisturizers without actives per se, I would choose something with virgin coconut oil or just pure virgin coconut oil. I would then put like a purely mineral sun and light screen. And then she likes the concept very much of layering. On top of that, add a foundation or a powder. These physical layers, because of the iron oxides, these physical layers really help protect the skin from sun and light and all these other pollutants that she was talking about that do prematurely age the skin. And again, aging skin isn't just about the way it looks with the fine lines and whatnot. It's also the way it behaves. It's elasticity, right? How well it stretches, its ability to protect you from external things, infection, all of this stuff. So it's not just, quote, vanity. It really does have a very important function for the rest of us. I have another comment on your earrings from Ruth. Okay. So maybe that's another thing.
You were the one who gave me this.
Get fabulous earrings. No, it was Cece.
Cece.
Okay. So then we have another question here about the difference. When it comes to certain products, guys, please stick around after she leaves because we don't tend to talk about specific products when she's here. We'll talk about ingredients though. But usually if you're looking at products that say advanced or primary, then usually the big difference is in the concentration of the active ingredient. Remember we talked earlier about retinol, retinoic acid, glycolic acid, all these things, and how slowly you start with them. Usually you also want to start with a lower concentration. So you start with a lower concentration product, you start slowly, very slowly, very, very slowly. By the time you're at the end of like 2 months or something, you're using it every day and it's working well, then maybe you can move up to the higher concentration, and you have to do the same thing again. Start once a week, etc., etc. Another question here: can brown sunspots on the face still be erased? This is from Nikki on Facebook.
Yeah. So brown spots are part of the early aging changes of the skin. And they can range from little ephelides, we call them freckles, to little lentiges.
Take note,
that are a little bit
ephelides,
thicker.
lentiges. You want to sound smart,
Yeah.
that's what you say.
And then they can become a little bit of what we call seborrheic keratosis and something a little bit bigger and thicker. So those spots can be removed by many ways. You can have, for instance, some chemicals can actually be used to apply on the skin to remove some of them if they're thin enough. And then we can, in skin which doesn't have too much brown in it, you can cauterize them and there's no problem. The minute you have a little bit of browning to that skin, or you don't burn easily when you look white, but when you go out in the sun, you don't burn easily. You actually darken, and that tan lasts for more than a month or 2 or 3. Mine lasts for 6 months, by the way. So, depending upon what you think your brown skin type, you can actually have it cauterized. You can actually use things that irritate the skin,
Right.
and it'll go away without any discoloration. But otherwise, you have to go to see a proper dermatologist who will advise you on what can actually be able to remove
Yeah.
them, because some of the lasers out there
Backfire!
can have backfire effect in that it can actually remove it temporarily, and then bingo, there it is again.
A
It's
darker,
hyperpigmentation.
hyperpigmentation, post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation.
Right.
Which brings me actually to a question I wanted to ask. Some people really like the idea of a miracle. Lasers, fillers, injectables. What is your take on this? What's possible, what's not? What's safer, what's not? She tackled a little bit now. Lasers that actually use radiation.
Right.
There is a chance, especially if you have darker skin, that it can backfire. So you really have to see someone who's very, very good and expert on phototherapies and on darker skin tones.
Right.
But what is your take on like injectables and all of that?
Injectables, I love them. I think I need to go to my doctor. The fillers are just hyaluronic acid. It's got to be done properly by the proper doctor, dermatologist. Simply because it has so many side effects if they don't do it correctly. And then they can have delayed effects of drooping and, going to the wrong places. So it has to be done properly. Botox,
that's
a little bit
unfortunate.
simpler, but still, it has side effects if it's not done right. Like the eye can go like that, or you can have a lopsided face for a while. But done beautifully, done properly, to still make you look like your age, but a beauty at your age. That kind of thing. That's the kind of thing I'd like to be when I grow up.
There's other options. So there's what's called the Energet,
Yes.
which is interesting because it's really physical. It doesn't use radiation,
That's
light, or heat. It's physical. It's propulsion of air, so that the downtime is much less. The effects can be really, really dramatic.
That's
It's
right.
almost like a facelift. And because it injects hyaluronic acid or elastin collagen, right?
Yeah.
With each boom, the effects last quite long. And it's nice because it's not just a purely cosmetic thing, because it injects these things. You have a nice effect over a few months, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Of the
Ooh,
devices.
and also for like deeper pock marks, those are
Right.
historically so
It's
hard to
fantastic.
deal with, and stretch marks.
Right.
Ooh, and these
Keloids.
things. Scars, yeah.
Yeah, regarding the devices, you really have to go to a good dermatologist who knows what they're doing, the dosage, and the side effects, and the things that you should do or not do before and after. And this is the reason why I kept looking for a device or a machine that would not use electromagnetic radiation, because all of that is EMR. They're an extension of the longer wavelengths from the sun into the longer and longer wavelengths, and they can have side effects on the skin. But the beauty about the pressure is that it's like, it's like a jet propulsion air, like the air that comes out of the airplane. So it's like that. And
it even sounds like
that. It goes very deep. It doesn't bother the upper epidermis or whatever. It just goes into the collagen, especially the deeper, as well as the fat. It goes down there and it tightens. It's fantastic. I love it. This is called
the Energet. Okay. I'm gonna get through some questions quickly, okay? Because I know she's gonna have to go soon. We tackled that. SPF, this is from Sharon on FB. If you can look at Instagram, VMV's Instagram and Igtv, we did a whole session like this on indoor and outdoor sunscreens. You need a minimum SPF of, say, 30, but that's actually less important than broad spectrum or the UVA protection also, because UVA gets in through windows. It can be even deeper damaging, and you want something that specifies visible light. Ideally also infrared protection, no? And yes, you should use it every single day. And definitely, since we're dealing with gadgets all the time, blue light is visible light. Is there a difference between SPF used outside and inside? No, SPF is tested pretty much the same way. What you might look at is a difference in texture. And indoors, she would say, you know what, you want the broadest spectrum, period, if you really want to protect your skin. And how frequently in a day should we apply? If you're indoors, probably once a day is okay. She won't like me saying that, especially if you layer.
But if you tend to do this,
Yeah, that's why. She likes it frequently. Definitely outdoors, it has to be every 1 to 2 hours, after toweling, after sweating, or after swimming.
Indoors, at least maybe in the morning and then sometime in the afternoon, because you're on the computer and you're going like that,
Yeah.
So it's nice to retouch it at least.
Okay, Ellie Wong, I think on Instagram. I'm happy that you like Red better. That's awesome. And yes, we do have other things that you could use. So much, guys, in a nutshell. I'll segue off of this question a bit because, like I said, stick around at the end and I'll talk a bit more about specific products. But so much of anything, eczema, rosacea, acne, aging, hyperpigmentation, is about prevention. So the less allergens, less photoallergens, less irritants, less sun and light exposure, the happier your skin in general, right? The more you take care of yourself inside. So 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, mental health, de-stressing, the junk food because it's a form of stress on your body. What am I missing? Allergens, meditate, right? Eat properly, exercise, all of the stuff that we already know, do it. A great diet that's an anti-inflammatory diet. I always shortcut to the Mediterranean diet, but just make sure you add coconut oil in there. She has a lovely study where they show biopsies of the skin and lessened inflammation just by changing to coconut oil. Exactly. So one more question from Art of Zeril. I get my vitamin D from 6 to 7 a.m. of brisk walking. So an hour of brisk walking outdoors. Will it hurt my skin? Do I still need to wear sunscreen? Absolutely. Otherwise, anything to add?
No. One last thing. Yes, I totally agree with what she just said about vitamin D. We should have an Instagram on that.
We should have a thing on vitamin D.
Lastly, read labels.
Yeah.
Be responsible for your own skin. That is your skin. The most visible part of your anatomy that people look at when they meet you after they shake your hands, which you should not do anymore in COVID. But read labels. The most important things I would like to leave you with are...
Wala pa. I still have 2 more questions.
Yeah? Well, anyway, let me talk about labels. Therefore, the 2 important products you should look for is something that has a barrier effect. Look in the ingredients, at ingredients that say cholesterol, fatty acids, and ceramide. And coconut oil, of course, because it has the fatty acids in it.
Right.
So that's for barrier repair. Read about it. And then the other one is, of course, Not just SPF, because SPF just protects against UVB outdoor
Okay,
sun.
that na, and you can go to that one in the IGTV.
All
Look for
right.
the sunscreen. But wait, because we have so many. They're good. How about skin warts that show up as you age? Are warts unavoidable? What can be done to manage or prevent age-related wart growths?
That's what we were just talking about. Be aware of the internal and external environment. So, the internal environment, you just talk about diet, sleep, meditate, etc.
So warts come from external?
Yes, because warts come from damage of the skin.
I don't know that.
Epidermal, yeah, it comes down and then it has oxidation processes.
I
that
thought it was just
affect-
an infection because aren't warts viral?
We're talking about, there are two kinds of warts in the skin. One are called Veruca Bulgaris. Those are tiny little, warts that are warts made out of pox virus. But the other one, which is really due to the aging, are those tiny little freckle-like
yes,
things
yes,
that
yes,
become
yes.
thicker and thicker over
I
time
have
and become
one.
a seborrheic keratosis.
Okay.
So those are also part of the aging process from, remember, the pollutants is becoming a
So
big
wait,
thing.
how do you get rid of those?
Cauterize them.
Okay, so
then-
cautery, which is they kind of burn it off.
Yeah.
But you need a dermatologist for that, for sure.
Because you might have hyper and hypopigmentation.
Also, you won't know what kind of wart it is. I mean, I grew up with her. I didn't know that. So I'm just saying. And we talk about warts a lot. And stuff. Oh, you should be at the dinner table. Okay. What is your opinion about all therapy?
Yeah, it is deep. It goes deep into even the subcutaneous fat and down into the sub-fat levels. So, like the Energet that I was talking about, it therefore, because it is stimulated down there, it therefore, when it starts to heal, it becomes tighter and tighter. And so the people get like that.
You notice their faces
It's kind
get
of painful,
smaller.
folks. It's kind of painful.
And again, there's so much of that
Yeah.
radiation, right? That
Right.
power. The side effects are there. It's just a little riskier. So the effects can be dramatic. It's
Right.
quite painful, but there are risks.
Right.
The Energet, that's why she really liked it because there's just no radiation and far less risk.
Anything that's a radiation, I'm worried about because, for instance, it's supposed to remove fat. I'm thinking, yeah, but my nerve cells and my brain is encased in lipids. How much of that radiation
Okay.
can get into my brain?
All right, she's
And
gonna go
nerves.
soon. I'm gonna summarize quickly, but I wanted to point out Poblete Derm is saying hello.
Mia, one of the best, if not the
Still
best
learning.
dermatologist at the Cleveland Clinic. At the Cleveland
That's saying
Clinic.
something. She
She-
wrote,
she's
still learning a lot
fantastic
after
dermatologic surgeon.
after
You can go
17
to her. Her name is Mia
Oh my God.
Poblete,
Okay.
Christine Poblete Lopez.
I
Fantastic dermatologic surgeon and teacher. Oh my God, you have to go
So
to see her.
I will-
about
I
those
will-
warts we were talking about.
I will interrupt now because I know what she likes to do before she has to go. And she normally has these research papers. She's working on another one now. And then she doesn't sleep and it pisses me off. So I'm going to let her go. But I know she likes to give a shout out to the doctors who trained her, who she thinks are awesome.
Yes, I love.
So I will let you do that.
Let me tell you about the Cleveland Clinic, which is where I was trained by Dr. Hazarek, John Hazarek, who I love very dearly. I'm going to cry in a second when I mention him. And then Henry Rennick was there, Faye Arundel, and Dr. George Curtis, and then Dr. Pincus. But as far as contact dermatitis, the people I really say salam to are Dr.
John Hazard. Oh. Chito Cruz.
Tito Cruz,
Fran Stores.
Dr. Franz Stores in Oregon University,
Berg Stresser.
and Dr. Bergster said, "What's happening to me? My
It's
memory is
because you're
pretty good.
correct. You know what it is? It's the earrings. The
It's draining my
are
brain, my
emanating.
nerve cells.
Wait, I do want to get this answer.
If you know any doctor who've been trained by them, go to them.
Advokind is asking for warts that look like tiny bumps appeared after surgery. My OBGYN said it could be the effect of hormone loss. How can this be addressed?
Bumps that appeared after what kind of surgery?
Yeah, what kind of, okay. My
And
friend,
where?
so this is a longer conversation.
Yeah.
It probably should be handled by a dermatologist.
Are they
because there
keloids
is-
maybe?
Right. So also, what do the bumps really look like? Are they actually
Are
viral?
they at the needle thread marks?
To end all of this, guys, and let her go, a lot of skin aging, honestly, is a lot of the same stuff we already know about taking care of our bodies. Our skin is, as Hijopi pointed out, the largest organ in the human body. So obviously, we have to take care of it like our body, right? So sleep well, 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. Mental health, meditate, see a therapist if you need help.
Eat well.
Eat properly. Mediterranean diet is a good shortcut, but just add in coconut oil. arguably even more than olive oil. And
Much
then-
more.
And then avoid allergens and irritants in as many things as you can, because they do stress the skin's barrier. The skin's barrier function is extremely important. Love that barrier. So avoid stressors. Protect it with sun and light screens. Practice layering of physical stuff on top of that. Moisturizers, look at fatty acids native to skin. What else did we talk about? Active ingredients, if you're going to use them, do look for unbuffered ones, do look for clinically proven ones, but remember the rest of the formulation shouldn't have allergens or irritants, and remember to go slow. Don't rush. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And if you're looking at things like injectables, fillers, therapies, laser and stuff like that, take a pause before you're looking at anything that has radiation. Because the side effects are really there, particularly if you have browner skin, right? The deeper the skin tone, the higher the risk of pigmentation problems. But there are other concerns with radiation, from burns to bone mass loss and stuff like that. And even with fillers, you want to go to someone who's really an expert in that. Also keep in mind, which we didn't talk about, for a lot of this stuff, there are allergens in the injectable that you may not be aware of, and there might be an allergic reaction. So you want to go to someone who is quite the specialist in contact dermatitis, and especially if you have sensitive skin. Okay, I will let her go, and I will talk a little bit more about VMV stuff.
Cheers to Cleveland Clinic and Mia Poblet and Lopez. Don't forget that name.
Walang hiya.
Bye-bye, everybody.
She's so funny. I love you. Love you. Mwah. Go show off your earrings and your other calls. Too funny. Okay. I will try to go through this. Tor, in particular, you asked about everything. And illuminants, yes. The advanced and the primary. The basic difference is really the concentration of the actives. 5 versus 10% glycolic acid, for example. And we really did this on purpose because we didn't want to come up with one product and then everyone just jumped to this extremely high concentration. A lot of our clients have extremely sensitive skin, so we decided to be more conservative and give those 2 levels. Someone else asked about sunscreen, what sunscreen to use. Oh, sorry, it was Ile who was asking. Yes, you like red better. Ellie Wong. Other products for eczema. For sure, prevention, right? So we would recommend Cool and Clean or Essence Clark Wash as a hair and body wash. Red Better Cleanser. No toner, because eczema, the barrier is already super dry. You don't need that. Virgin coconut oil for sure. So Noad Oil. Oils Well has virgin coconut oil and monolaurin, which is great. And I still recommend the Armada Post procedure because it is a purely physical sunscreen. It is made for indoor-outdoor use. It hits that barrier thing that she keeps talking about. And it's good to layer on top of with makeup, so you get the layering thing happening. Very quickly, do you need to use SPF at night? Strictly speaking, no, like when you're asleep, because there's arguably no light. But if you're extremely photoallergic or photosensitive, like my son actually is, even light from lamps and screens and TV screens can be a problem. So if you notice reddening as you're watching TV or just reading by your bedside, yeah, it's not a bad idea. And then, yay, thank you, Sharon. And Sarah, is it okay to use Everything moisturizer alternately with Super Skin? Absolutely. Everything that we make is designed to sort of work together pretty much. And we have a nice article on vmvinskin.com about combining actives in one regimen. So I use the 1635 cleanser because I like, to me, it's just the right level of scrub. And I like coffee, so it helps me wake up. And then I use both id toner first, Super Skin toner, and then Everything and Illuminants. Then, this was a secret weapon I didn't want to talk about when she was here. This is from the clinic. It is virgin coconut oil with retinoic acid. It's prescription only, so you need a doctor to look at you and make sure it's good. And I love this thing. And then, if I need to, because I'm flaring, I have an autoimmune, autoinflammatory condition, I use Flare-Up Balm to deal with those things. And then I do use the post-procedure. So I use a lot of products, and they're like that. So you totally can do that. You just have to do it safely. And I recommend that blog post for sure. Oh, that is the nicest comment. Elma, thank you so much. And turning 30, bought Re-Everything. Should I be getting... Re-Everything is wonderful for a lot, because remember, it has virgin coconut oil, kynotin, plus antioxidants, and unbuffered glycolic acid. So it kind of hits a lot of concerns of skin aging. And on that note, my friends, we have learned sunscreen, prevention, anti-inflammatory, stress prevention, barrier care and repair. If you want to rewatch this or watch the other stuff that we've done with my mom, please check out Igtv for VMV Hypoallergenics on Instagram. We'll also have these up on Facebook and YouTube. And as a reminder, all July for National Lipstick Month, you get 2 of the lipsticks or 2 of the lip glosses, and they're 40% off, which is pretty cool and a nice way to sort of lift your spirits in COVID when stuck at home. If you are interested in customized recommendations based on your particular patch test results, you can email us at vmvhypoallergenics.com or vmvhypoallergenics.ph in the Philippines, and we can customize recommendations for you based on your patch tests and potential cross reactants, which is cool. And yeah, we'll be doing this every Friday, 9 a.m. in the Philippines, which is Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the States. Let us know in the comments if you want us to tackle anything else. Next week, I think we're doing hair and nails. So that's hair loss, hair volume, hair health, or silicone's really bad for curly hair, nails and whatnot. And then, yeah, we'd love to know what else you guys want to hear from us. And then if you'd like a teleconsultation with my mom or any other dermatologist that we work with, hit us up with a DM here or on VMV Skin Research Center and Clinics on Facebook, and we'll help make that happen. Otherwise, subscribe to our emails online, please. Follow us on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. And a lot of this stuff is on vmvinskin.com. So, and I tend to answer or at least review most of our customer responses. So we can totally interact that way. And I'm super happy to talk to anyone about skin and beyond on Laura at VMV on Instagram. So thank you. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, everyone. Stay safe, be well, be kind to everyone and yourselves. Bye-bye.